I mean, in your day, would Buddy Ryan treat Reggie White and Jerome Brown differently than he would treat other guys?
Oh, absolutely. Buddy Ryan would definitely treated the star players differently. But you know what? He's not alone in doing that. Right. Again, you know, the Jimmy Johnson story of cutting a backup who fell asleep, and you think he's cutting Troy Aikman in a meeting. If he fell asleep in a meeting, you get treated differently. You know, it comes with the territory. You absolutely know that's going to happen. You understand that. But to your point, there's a difference of me getting treated differently than Reggie White. But you have Reggie White, you have Clyde Simmons, you have Jerome Brown, you have Seth Joyner, you have Eric Allen. So if you have those guys and more, I don't leave people out. What if Buddy only preferential treatment to 3 of those? That's more along the lines of, now there's Horace Grant saying, well, wait a minute, I'm not going to feel slighted, Mike Golick, but if Eric Allen is left out of that, is he feeling slighted? Or Seth Joyner left out? And I'm just using those names because we had a lot of stars on that defense. Yeah. But so what if the line was there? Would there be bad feelings? So that's what I'm talking about. And all those guys were treated really, obviously, really well by Buddy. I'm just trying to make an example of this. The other thing I'll say is, of the ones you mentioned Kobe, you mentioned Jordan, you mentioned LeBron. Only one of those guys played with somebody else who was equal. Jordan never played with anybody equal. Right. LeBron never played with anybody equal. It was Kobe, and it was Shaq. And how'd that work out? Very badly. But very great, but then very badly. Right. 3 championships, and you thought, my God, where could this thing go? And they just couldn't deal with it. They couldn't handle it, the two of them, because they were both alphas. They were both Batmans. They were both Supermans. And that's never been an issue with LeBron, even though when LeBron went to Miami, you know, they were trying who's going to defer Dwayne and Chris Bosh. But it went exactly the way everybody thought. LeBron's the best player. LeBron's going to have the ball. LeBron's going to decide what to do with it. You know, that was never an issue in going back to Cleveland that he was going to be the man. It was only out of those 3 examples, it was Kobe and Shaq who were both the alphas.
We're Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. More independent agents sell Progressive Insurance than any other brand. Find an agent at Progressive.com. Now that's Progressive. Skip off the top here because this is really the meat of the conversation.
Maybe quickly, in the beginning of that Kobe Shaq was more the alpha, maybe because Kobe was younger coming in, obviously. Yeah. So,
but as they certainly developed,
they turned into both alphas on the same team.
Yeah, and all kinds of things happened in that relationship and happened to them. And look, that was a soap opera too.
Without a doubt.
I mean, in every conceivable way, that was a soap opera that played out very publicly. Good little illustration from Hembo of the way Kyrie's star has risen. Did you know that during the 12 months that ended in March of this year, so the most recent data that we have, according to Forbes, the only signature shoe that sold more than Kyrie's shoe was LeBron. Mm-hmm. So LeBron was the number 1 selling shoe. Kyrie was the number 2 selling shoe. So it's not as though he hasn't become a major star. It's not as though he doesn't have a huge brand.
And they're worldwide because he's in China now, Beijing, isn't he?
He certainly was. He was in China when the story was breaking on Friday.
Right.
I don't know if he's back yet or not, but it's just, it's a much smaller world for people who travel the way he does.
Oh, it sure is.
He could have come back without our knowledge. But at any rate, I understand what you're saying, that it's all kind of goofy and soap opera-y and fun.
Sick.
But for the same reasons that you enjoy reading the whatever it is, the Us magazine,
yes.
This is my Us magazine.
I'm with you. Listen, that's why I said I'm with you. It gets us through July. It's fun to talk about, but boy, it's quite honestly, it's a bit meaningless.
You want another? It's total. Well, that part of it is meaningless.
Yeah.
If he winds up getting traded, it's not meaningless. I mean, from a sports standpoint, this is hardly meaningless.
Yes.
The breakup of LeBron James and Kyrie Irving right now is not meaningless at all, and it won't be meaningless because this is not a case. This is not going to be a Paul George trade where you wind up trading, guys named Oladipo and Sabonis.
Right.
This is going to be a trade that is going to involve potentially people named Anthony or Porzingis, but probably not. Or major names. Like you got people in Phoenix reassuring Josh Jackson he's not going to get traded. This is going to involve other significant players around the NBA. So this is going to be a big deal, I think.
Did I see on the 6 last night that the odds still said he was going to be back in Cleveland? I think it was still 1-1 that he was going to be back in Cleveland next year.
It just popped up on the screen. Can you read that? The odds that Kyrie will play, where he'll play next year. Cleveland 1-1, Knicks 4-1. Suns, does that say 9-2? Celtics 13-2. I'm reading a screen that's not all.
Yeah,
that
I can't see it all that well.
I think that's what it says.
But Cavs are at the top, though. Cavs are at the top of him staying there. Because remember, the Cavs don't have to trade him.
No, they don't.
It's just the fact that the Cavs want to deal. We're going to talk with Chauncey Billups at 9 Eastern. We talk about makeup of team, drama of team. Again, there's just 12 guys, sitting there, 15 on a roster, but and it's a small team, and the drama that can be involved. Do they want that drama in Cleveland? Does Dan Gilbert say, I don't care about the drama, play, you're professionals, go play, let's get to the finals and see if we can win, deal with it, which you could absolutely do because, at the end of the day, they are professionals. And when the season starts, you're supposed to be professionals and play. So maybe Dan Gilbert's saying, that's what we're going to do. And others may say, you know what, we may need to end this thing. It's ugly right now. So I don't know what side it's going to go on, but it wouldn't shock me if he remained with the Cavaliers this year. It wouldn't at all because would you have any problem with Dan Gilbert saying, you're a pro, deal with it. We're not trading you. We are the best team in the East right now, and we're going to the finals with you helping to lead this team along with LeBron, and that's not going to change.
I wouldn't trade him. Yes, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would trade him. I don't know what Dan Gilbert's primary concern is here. So you've got two options if you're going to trade Kyrie Irving. I guess let's put it this way. We have three options. Let's pause on that thought and we'll come back. There are three options you have with Kyrie Irving. I know which one I would do if I were sitting in Dan Gilbert's shoes. I'd be curious to see which one you would choose. I think he's got three choices. We're Mike and Mike. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. We're jam-packed today with Louis Riddick and Will Kane and Chauncey, as you mentioned, and Nick Saban and more. All our guests, as always, on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. There are a lot of other stories out there to get to this morning as well, and we will. But coming up next, you're the owner of the Cavaliers. You got three choices. All of them, I think, are actually pretty good. Unlike other teams that sort of get forced into making trades, with a proverbial gun to their head, he sort of has three good options to choose from. Mm-hmm. I know which one I'd pick. Let's see which one you would pick in just a moment on Mike and Mike after this word from Shell. You know what? There are a couple of different ways you can get rewarded, folks, right? You can get that promotion at work. You can hit a winning jumper at your pickup basketball game. You can play the sick card when the in-laws invite you over. All of those are rewarding.
Got an easier way to get rewarded. That's by filling up at Shell because now when you join the Fuel Rewards program, you get rewarded with instant gold status. That means you save on every fill every day. So basically, you never have to pay the full price at Shell again. It's like a reward every time you fill up. So join at fuelrewards.com/ESPN or pick up a Fuel Rewards card at a participating Shell station or download the Fuel Rewards app to join. It's that easy.
So incorporate the three different options I believe the Cavaliers have, and we'll get that up for you right after SportsCenter and tell you what it is. In the meantime, there's two elements to this Kyrie business. There's the salacious relationship side of it that is just, in my opinion, very entertaining.
Yes.
And then there's the real basketball side of it, which is we could have a major trade involving an NBA superstar. Our Brian Windhorst breaks down that part.
There's three parties right now going on. One is the Cavs, one is Kyrie, and one is LeBron. And the three sides are all working to opposite ends. And I think that's what you're seeing develop over the last week. LeBron is very frustrated by this development. Certainly, he understands that a player sometimes wants to leave a team. He's left a team twice. But he's disappointed the way Kyrie's gone about this, and he feels like he's put the team and himself in a rough spot. The Cavs have to try to manage the situation and maximize themselves, and then Kyrie has got to go through the messy business of extracting himself without getting too much blood on his hands. This is one of the more complicated trade situations I've ever seen because of the three-party system that we have in place right now.
You're right. This does belong in the magazines I buy. I should be walking onto it. And didn't somebody did that? TNT did that. They put out like a fake magazine cover of all the things going on. It was fantastic with all the different things like that. And one of the last things on it was, it has the main story and then the little boxes of other stories.
Yeah.
It was very cool. We should try and find that. TNT did it. And the last one in the little boxes was, I think, something like Charles Barkley explains his weight loss system. It was hilarious, but it had other really, really cool stuff on it.
It should just have a picture of someone's butt, but you don't know who. Which NBA star's
exactly.
sort of not so attractive butt is this? You have to turn to page 31
exactly
and you find out which one it is. And I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I never look at those magazines ever, except when you buy them on the plane.
Right.
That's the first thing I turn to. Page 31. Whose butt is that? And it's always somewhat surprising.
It was mine.
All right, SportsCenter now.
The pitch to Encarnacion. A swing and a drive to deep left center. Away, back and gone. A game-winning grand slam to left center for Edwin Encarnacion. And a mobbing at home
The courtesy there, WTAM. Those were the first words I heard this morning. That's how I woke up. That led the 4 a.m. Sports Center this morning.
That was loud.
Really loud. Very enthusiastic call, but I guess rightfully so. When you have a walk-off grand slam in the 11th.
Yeah, it was our second grand slam of the game.
And it was an 11-7 win for Golick's hometown Cleveland Indians. Trade in baseball yesterday as we continue to approach the trade deadline. Red Sox get third baseman Eduardo Nunez from San Francisco for a couple minor league pitchers. And terrible news in the NBA
awful.
for the Suns. Brandon Knight, an ACL in a summer game, will undergo surgery, could miss all of the upcoming season. Sports Center with Mike and Mike, brought to you by Ultimate Software.
In sports, every player on the team is valuable. The same should be said of your business. Ultimate Software offers HR technology for smarter payroll, recruiting, retention, and more, because no matter what business you're in the people business. Learn more at ultimatesoftware.com. Ultimate Software, people first.
All right, Andrew, do we have the poll ready to go? I want to get the poll question going as well on the Mike and Mike page on Twitter, because I realize I think this actually is poll worthy. So you've got 3 options right now, and I'm going to ask Golick first what he would choose. I know which one I would choose, and then we will let you vote on it on the Mike and Mike page on Twitter. We'll let you know as soon as the poll question gets up. It seems to me right now the Cavaliers have 3 choices regarding Kyrie, and none of them is terrible, which is a much better situation to be in. Indiana with Paul George. You know he's walking. You have to trade him or lose him for nothing. That you have a bunch of bad options. Denver was in that situation with Carmelo once upon a time. They actually came out of it great because of a miscalculation by the Knicks, but that's a separate issue. All these teams that have to trade a star player. This is a little different because of the time remaining and the circumstances. So they've got 3 options. None of them are that awful. Option number 1. Keep Kyrie, as you just said. Just tell him, okay, we're not trading you.
Right.
Work it out. You two guys, work it out. Lock them in a room. Don't let them come out until they work things out one way or another and play and see how it goes. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 would be trade Kyrie Irving in a manner that loads you up for one run this year. You have one guaranteed year left of LeBron James. You got 1 year to try and knock off Golden State, and then you're going into the great
Make
abyss.
a move to win now.
Make a move that would be to win right now. Literally right now.
Yeah.
And then option number 3 is to make a trade that would prepare you for a post-LeBron world, which is make a trade of Kyrie Irving for a variety of good young players and draft picks, so that when LeBron leaves, if and when LeBron leaves, which it feels almost everyone thinks he will, that you are not staring at the abyss the way you were when he left last time. So those are your 3 options. None of them sound terrible. Which one, Mike, if you're Dan Gilbert, would you choose?
The first thing I would do, this isn't going to be just a one easy answer for me. Kobe Altman, the assistant GM who is now the permanent GM, I would put him in the spot to try and do it. I God forbid, get these 2 guys together and just talk to them, whether it's by phone together in a conference call or in the same room. I mean, how could we not do this? And quite honestly, if I'm LeBron, I'd be the bigger man here and say, let's get together. Because at the why are people afraid of the face-to-face confrontation? Even if it doesn't work out, at least you've talked about this. I don't get it. So that's the first thing I would try. If I were Dan Gilbert, I'd say, Kobe, get those guys on the phone and try and get them in the same room. You go to them, they come here, whatever. Let's try and at least find out what's happening and if anything can be worked out.
Can I make a point in the form of a question?
Yes.
Do you believe that the general manager of the Cavaliers is the person who could make that happen? I think
I don't know.
There are people out there who might be able to make that happen, and he's not one of them.
Okay, well, then have the general manager get a hold of somebody who can make it happen and say, can you make this happen? My point is, try and make that happen.
Someone out there who they would both listen to enough to come together. I don't know who that would be.
I don't know who it is either.
But,
God forbid one of them actually take the step and say, hey, you know what? Why don't, instead of all the tweets and emojis and blah, 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 and this and that, why don't you and I just go sit down?
It doesn't feel like that's happening.
I know, and it just blows my mind. God forbid that happen, even if you disagree about something. But
okay, so that's number 1.
That said, I would lean toward keeping him. The third option would be go young. I don't know how much longer I have LeBron. I'm trying to win right now. So if I have Kyrie, I know I can win. And if I trade Kyrie for others to win right now, that's what I would do. Those would be my first two options. The first one would lean more toward keeping him unless it's too far gone. That's the part I don't know. It would be too easy for me to say just keep him if there's going to be bad blood and they can't get along, because it's also easy for me to say your professionals work it out when you're with each other every minute of the day for so long, of a season, and what you have to go through with a smaller roster on the smaller planes together all the time if there's bad blood. And sometimes there's just too much. And I don't know if there is or not. And if there is, then so be it. Then you're going to have to get rid of them. But are we to that point? I need to know that first.
So I've just cast my vote, and you can vote on the Mike and Mike Twitter page.
Oh, wait, let me retweet.
Here are the options. Well, you can vote. You can retweet the poll also, but you can then cast your vote. The Cavaliers have three options regarding Kyrie Irving. Which one would you choose? Number one, keep Kyrie. Number two, trade to win now. Number three, trade for the future. I just cast my vote, and my vote is definitely trade to win now, because I think it could serve two purposes. First and foremost, championships are rare. Right? Very rare.
Yes, they are.
The notion that you would sneeze at the notion of trying to win one this year when you still have LeBron James to keep yourself from falling off a cliff next year, whilst I understand that might seem like good business, to me, if you've got a chance to win a championship, you do it. Secondly, and this is where it's sort of a sneaky answer, maybe the only way LeBron James doesn't wind up leaving Cleveland is if his last memory of it would be a parade. If you win a championship, if you manage to get him, and I don't know what trade is out there that could do this. I don't think Carmelo Anthony does it. I don't know exactly what trade does this. But if there's a trade out there that all of a sudden you win a title, I don't know, anything can happen. I'm not saying this out loud. I hate to say it out loud, but, I mean, someone on Golden State can get hurt, right? It happens.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Steph goes down,
yeah.
Kevin Durant goes down. Now all of a sudden the whole landscape looks different. So if the Cavaliers win a championship, maybe LeBron doesn't leave. It probably wouldn't be that easy to walk away having just won the title. So it could actually serve dual purposes. So what I would do, my option, the vote, and I just cast my vote, trade to win now. That's my vote.
Okay, I voted. I gave you an explanation, but I voted to keep him.
Keep Kyrie. So that's up there right now. We'd like you to vote on the Mike and Mike page on Twitter. It's a really good question that we have going here. We haven't even gotten to the Stephen A. sound, so let's play you that for those of you who didn't hear it. So, again, Stephen A. had all the reporting that you all heard Monday into Tuesday. We played it yesterday. Everybody played it. And Stephen A. stands behind it strongly. So does ESPN, and so do I. There's under no circumstances do I think that Stephen A. made this stuff up. He was told this by someone close to LeBron. But anyway, so LeBron then went on Twitter, as Golick pointed out, and called it fake news. And Stephen A. Smith, as only he can, responded.
LeBron James, you in Dallas, stinking up the joint during the NBA Finals. You openly admitted you stunk up the joint. And how that was a growing experience for you, and how that enabled you to ultimately become a champion. But because I had the temerity, the unmitigated gall, to point out something you did in front of 50 million people, you all caught up in your feelings. And this is the same LeBron James that wants us to believe that his feelings really are of no consequence with this whole Kyrie Irving situation. Stephen A. points out what you did in front of 50 to 100 million people by stinking up the joint in your NBA Finals series against Dallas. You ain't get over that. But Kyrie Irving saying he don't want to play with the Cavaliers anymore. And this narrative about you not being happy about that suddenly is fake news. This is after people close to you, who you sign on to speak on your behalf, reach out to yours truly. And now it's fake news. Really, LeBron? Really?
So that was Stephen A. I totally believe Stephen A. I mean, it doesn't need me to stand behind him, but I certainly do believe that he was told this by someone close to LeBron. Here's the part of this that I find interesting. Mm-hmm. Do you think that if, like, LeBron is the most, we've mentioned this before, the most criticized immortal ever, mm-hmm. and that probably is a function more than anything of the era in which he plays.
Right.
I wonder sometimes, Michael Jordan, name others. I mean, who Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, others of that era. if they had lived in this era and heard as directly whatever criticism it is that's out there of
how
them,
they'd react,
if they would have reacted to it as quote unquote sensitively as LeBron sometimes seems to. I don't know either.
I don't know the answer. It's always tough to move errors, especially this, which is everything is so public all the time.
Well, because it's easy to say LeBron is sensitive, but the volume of just noise that guy hears, I mean, I could see where it would be difficult sometimes
to
not
put it
to
away.
respond.
Obviously, the easiest thing is to put it away because it's coming from everywhere, and why give anybody the satisfaction that it got to you? But it's got to be daunting, just all the time. Every little thing you do, gets publicly, ridiculed at times.
Look, a lot of people that we know respond to stuff all the time on social media and all that kind of
absolutely.
stuff. It's within everyone's right to do it.
Sure it is.
That isn't news. But when LeBron James responds to anything, it's enormous news. You know what I mean? It isn't really that different of a thing. He's just so, he's just so exponentially more famous than everybody else is that when he does something, it's noteworthy. So I don't know. Do you think that he's overly sensitive?
I think at times he's absolutely overly sensitive. Yeah,
to criticism.
Yes, to criticism. I think we see a lot of guys, to use the term today, clap back. When they get criticized, I think we see that more, and then they have an outlet to do it. That's why it is fair to ask. You can't be an old time player and say, "Oh, these guys need to stop being sensitive," because we had to live in the era of this where it could be on you all the time. It would just be a beat writer or a news at night or something, or ESPN. When everything else wasn't out there, there were a lot less ways for you to get criticized. Where now there's a ton of ways, especially by the regular person out there, has a way to get to you as well, and sometimes you would answer back to them. So yeah, it is a more difficult time to just put it away. It's easy to say just put it away and don't respond because you're not the one getting it thrown at you all the time. And I think could Stephen A. be the Conor McGregor of the sports world without the swearing? I mean, the dude can trash it up, can he? Can trash talk it, can be loud and do his thing and go after someone?
Well, yeah. He was standing up for himself. And in this case, LeBron James basically said, your report is fake news.
Right.
And Stephen A. is saying, no, it's not. That's simple. I mean, that's what he's saying. He's basically saying.
He said. Right?
Yeah. But, I mean, in this particular case, you can, if you choose to, you can go on one side or the other.
Oh, sure, but it's still, he said one thing and he said another thing.
Right.
I mean, it's what it is.
LeBron is basically saying no one told you that.
Right.
That's bad information.
Right.
I don't believe that for a second.
And I'm at the point I don't know what to believe with people if I don't hear it myself. Who knows?
All right. We've got lots more to do here on this. And again, the question is up. The poll question, the Cavaliers have three options regarding Kyrie Irving. Which one would you choose? Keep Kyrie, trade to win now, or trade for the future? Cast your vote on the Mike and Mike page on Twitter.
And my son is to be reprimanded.
Because?
Because of something he tweeted out.
Okay.
Nice.
We'll hear what that is. We'll get to all of that. Plus, we've got a ton of other stuff out there to get to today, and your Twitter reaction, which we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of, but we will. All of that and more after this word from Grainger. Whether your business is small or medium or large, you still need supplies to keep it running. No matter your size or how much you order, Grainger has got your back.
As America's #1 source for industrial-grade supplies and safety products, Grainger takes pride in the small part they can play in your business. Some of the things they have is over 1.5 million products for your facility, 24/7 customer support, same-day pickup and delivery options, with 99% of in-stock items shipping the day you order them. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, Grainger, well, they got your back. Call or click Grainger.com or stop by a branch. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. Back after this, Mike and Mike.